Okay, welcome to the Steko Show. Today's episode is episode 1. I'm going to be explaining what the Steko Show is, and I'll give you today's overview. So, we'll explain what the show is. I'll talk about the characteristics of the show. I'll talk about Go Steko LLC, my company. I'm going to share some short and long-term goals, personal projects, and an action tied to today's takeaway. So I'm just going to get right into it. This is probably going to be a rough first episode, but I hope it still manages to be alright. So first, I'll just share some background. My name is Chayton Lakewald, and I am just starting this podcast and this brand / company just as of real recently. I worked in caregiving for about 11 months. After that, I transferred to the local hospital as an imaging transporter for about 4 months. Before that, I did some detailing, and I still do detailing occasionally. And I have wanted to start a business for months, but I struggled to find out what I wanted to do, and I'm still figuring it out. But Go Steko LLC is my action step to move forward, and it's something I'm interested in, and it's what I'm pursuing right now. So in my previous jobs, as a Christian, I really wanted to take a stand, and there were many times I had opportunities to stand for what's right, and many times I could have witnessed, I could have done things differently, but it's something I've struggled with. So part of Go Steko LLC is to put truth at the forefront of the company, and so that's part of the reason for this podcast. Is I'm going to share truth, and it may not be perfect or polished, but it's here, and at least that's a step forward. So the devil has a way of coupling people down with fear, to not stand up for what's right, to just kind of let things slide, and I'm trying to grow in that area to not let that bog me down. So sometimes you just gotta take the first step and start going with the punches, and that's really some of the main reasoning behind starting this business, and for why I left my last job. I'd wanted to start a business for a while, and at the hospital, my goal had been to continue for I think 6 months to where I could transfer to another department. I wanted to be an ER technician, but the environment I found challenging, and there were many very kind coworkers I had and people I worked with, but there were some things that I struggled with. So I decided I had to quit if I couldn't get myself out of that rut feeling and start standing up for the truth. Then I had to leave and get in the position where I could. And so that's where I'm at now. And the hospital and caregiving were definitely jobs I'm very thankful to have had. There are some pretty interesting things about them, and a lot of kind people, and I'm really grateful for all of them. And it's pretty cool to, I'm thankful to have had that background experience, but it's also something I can use to hopefully move forward and help other people now. And I believe God works all things for good, and I believe He wanted me to have some of the experiences I did, and I believe it's for a reason. So as I mentioned, I've wanted to start a business for a while. It really kind of started strongly, and I'd say in November, I'd listened to a podcast that inspired me and made me want to start a business. I wasn't exactly sure what it would be. I've had tons of ideas, and the hardest part is just making an idea stick, and for me to choose something I can keep working at. After quitting my job at the hospital, that was about 6.5 weeks ago, my first business that I was going into transition to, well, I thought about going to detailing, and I got serious into wholesale snack distribution, which is actually a pretty interesting industry. There's a podcast I listened to from a guy named Chris Corner, and he had a guest on that shared his business of wholesale snack distribution. And you can actually go to places like gas stations and offer to sell them like a rack of jerky. They'll buy it from you, and then you tell them you'll restock it every 2 weeks, and if it product doesn't sell, then you'll buy it back. So it's kind of a no risk environment for the store, and that person has a lot of accounts and he's very successful with it. But the issue I ran into was you're technically supposed to have a food safe environment, and so at least for the state I'm in, I'm not sure if it's different from Montana where this guy is, but after hearing that, I didn't really have the ambition to keep moving forward and to overcome that challenge. So I next found myself interested in starting a hydration powder company, and I still think this is a cool idea that it's possible I'll pursue in the future, but I want to make a Christian hydration company brand, and I wanted to call it Witness Hydration. And I was thinking my latest thoughts were WTNSS hydration, Witness Hydration, and I think that could still be a good business, but I kind of lost interest in that one too. It's a very high startup cost. It's reasonable, very reasonable considered to other things, but if you want to have a custom formula as I wanted to, and things, it's probably over $10,000 or 10-ish. It's kind of hard for me to say exactly, but you need to have your formula, get the right flavor down, and you need it packaged, you need it made by the manufacturer, all that. So I talked to several manufacturers and I was moving forward with it, but still trying to figure out who I want my manufacturer to be and whatnot. But the thing with it is mainly the startup cost, I'd say, is one of the main things. And it was kind of the passion behind Witness Hydration was kind of more towards the spreading truth part, which is kind of aside from selling hydration powders in a way, I feel like, especially since you're investing so much money, and if you're not if you're not really engaged in that product and using that product for whatever your brand is, then it could be a very costly mistake. So I've pivoted away from Witness Hydration. I still have my general formula of what I would like, and so I could use that in the future. and I think hydration powders can actually be a pretty cool company. You can white label products, which makes it a lot cheaper. That just means you use whatever formula of ingredients the manufacturer already has from their list of things they're already manufacturing, and you can just put your label on it and start selling it that way. But I wanted custom, and that would have been more expensive. So we transition to Go Steko LLC. Go Steko LLC is my broad category of business activity, and I am not limiting myself to one specific solution, product, or industry. I am trying to be more broad with it so that I can actually hopefully get more momentum forward. If my interests change, then that could put the momentum and mission in jeopardy. So I think if I have a broader mission, then I can worry less about sticking to one path and have a little more freedom and leeway with it. So that's something that's helpful with Go Steko LLC. And I actually got the LLC filing returned to me today, so I'm happy about that. And well, actually, I don't really care a whole lot. It was supposed to be like a week or two from now when I was supposed to get it, and I'm not really ready to use it necessarily yet, I'd say. So that's not too important to me right now. But I have that, and hopefully get the EIN tax number here soon. And I will describe more about Go Steko LLC later, but now I'm going to talk about some characteristics of this show. So my mission in Go Steko LLC is to stand for truth and inspire people. And I want this show to leave people feeling inspired. And whether or not this show grows, I believe I'll grow, and I hope that anyone watching this grows. It doesn't have to be big in numbers or in revenue for this to do something good. So part of what truth means to me is Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and life. And so I want what I share to reflect Christ's truth. And there's a lot of things in the world that are very untruthful and very much false through the lens of Christianity. And I want to stand for what's right. So as you listen to this show, depending on your background, depending on who you are, your beliefs and everything, some things may offend you, but I don't want to hold back on what's true. And so I'm going to share some things that are controversial. I recently watched a reel on Instagram, and this guy was talking about the value of being unoffendable. These days, so many people are easily offended. You'll see the news and read that people are killing each other over road rage. And that's an extreme, but there's many people who can't hear something without being offended by it. And so whether or not you're offended shouldn't really bother me, because if it's truth, it's truth. And so try to be unoffendable. It's a value and I think if we can, we can communicate with people, and if they don't see eye to eye on something, sometimes you just have to agree to disagree. And also, I want this show to be something that people can access or reach me if they're interested. That doesn't mean I will get back to you necessarily if I don't feel like it's the right thing to do, or that I'll address your question or your concern or your comments necessarily. But if someone does want to reach me and they have a reasonable message or something, I want to be reachable. So that's one characteristic about this show. If you have any thoughts, ideas, or questions, I want you to feel free to reach out to me. I don't really have I can be reached on Facebook and Instagram through messages, but in the future I'll probably have an email form on maybe this show's description or on my website or something where people can reach me that way too. Also, I want this show to be mostly unedited, not cuts of awkward pauses. If there's a mistake in the show, if there's things that aren't perfectly polished, I actually want to let those things slide and have this be a raw and honest podcast in that regard. So that's part of one of the characteristics of the Steko Show. That doesn't mean I won't, split part of it to insert an intro or maybe an outro and cut the start and the end to make it more concise. But you can expect this to be real. That's my goal. In the future, I hope and intend to have guests on, Lord willing. Could be in person, but also could be through like Zoom video call. So I think that could be interesting. And then I already shared my mission, but I also want to share my personal life goal is Matthew 25:21, which says, his Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. And that doesn't mean I'm trying to be rich or increased with goods. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I want to meet Christ and him to call me a faithful servant. I saw another reel, is probably a couple-ish months ago, maybe more, but man was talking about how that verse, he doesn't say, well done, thou good and successful servant. It's faithful, and faithful means you've been through the fire, you've been tried, through whatever trials or wherever you've been at in life, you've been faithful. You haven't gone off to the left or the right, but you've stayed on course. And of course we each make mistakes, and I make many mistakes, but I want to get to the end of my journey and be called a faithful servant. That's my goal. So back to Go Steko LLC. I'm going to share some of what I'm building right now, what I'm working on. I'm currently using a platform called Rourke AI to vibe code a goal tracker for Christians, and I think that should be out soon, possibly next week or the week after. It's really easy to make with AI these days. So I expect to publish that soon, and we'll see how that goes. But you can, apps can be very successful with subscription models, and so that's what I intend to have, is a subscription model on this app. My plan currently is for $4 a month or $40 for the year. We'll see if that changes, but that's what I have in my head right now. The background of the app is a concept called where goals are summits, and so it's kind of like climbing a mountain. This is something I learned about from a man named Sahil Bloom, and summits are large goals that you some of it I've adapted to my own style, so this may not be exactly the way Sahil Bloom shares it, but I also want it to be my own for the app, so it's probably going to be a little different. But in my mind, a summit is a mountain, and you have the goal at the top, and you have several checkpoints up to that goal. So to run a marathon, your checkpoints could be 5K, run a 10K, run a 10K in under a certain amount of time, and then you have your final goal, which is that summit. And on this app, that's how it's going to be structured. I'm also going to have habits, and habits are daily. It could be 2 times a week, it could be 7 times a week, where you do a certain thing that's tied to the goal, and that progresses you forward to that goal. So that's what the app is going to be, and it should be coming soon. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to market it yet. I'm not really interested in paid ads. I might try it, but what I'm more interested in is reaching out to people who have social media followings and see if they will promote the app, and I'll pay them to do that. A partner is possible, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. I think that could complicate the I don't know, the taxes or legality of it. I'm not really sure how that all works, so I'd prefer to make it a simpler pay structure. But that's basically the main revenue project right now, and one of the main things I've been working on. I also plan to have a basic clothing collection. I recently took down what I already had clothing collection. I'll get back to that in a minute, but I took that down for now. But my plan is to have things like shirts and maybe a coffee mug and etc. in a store where it has like a simple message on it, and then it'll have my Go Steko logo. And for those, it's not something I actually make, it's something I'll put the design on, and then it's fulfilled by a company who's prints on demand. It's called POD, and then when an order comes in, they'll print it and ship it out, and I'll receive whatever revenue amount I get from that based on how much I price it for. So that's coming in the future, probably. The reason why I took that down is I've actually been working lately on trying to DAI, not DEI. We're not getting into that controversial topic yet, and I don't really plan to, but I'm trying to erase some of the AI, artificial intelligence, that I've built up some of the brand with so far. So that includes my clothing. It had an AI made logo. I've recently made my own logo, and I'm probably going to change it or have someone help me make it more professional, but I'm trying to make it more human, more real. I still use AI, and that's what I'm building the app with, but I think AI can take away from some of the humanness. I recently saw a post on Instagram where a Christian clothing company was talking about use of AI as Christians, and it was really good, and it was convicting, and that's what led me to trying to humanize some things some more. So I took down my website, and I'm gonna make a new website. I have a template I chose, and I just need to build it out more. That might not be coming for another couple weeks. I'm not really sure, but I want to have a quality backings, quality and integrity in this business. So also that Instagram post, it wasn't saying you can't use AI. It was talking about AI use as Christians for things like sermons and songs. And so I actually plan to get in an AI episode next week, and I'm looking forward to that one. I think it'll be interesting. I'm gonna share things about AI, share some things about what the future of AI could look like. There's some pretty crazy things that could be coming, and also just talk about use of it, and so I'm looking forward to that. It could be interesting. So once I get that website up, I want it to include the Steko Show on it. I want to have a contact form. I want to have some current projects on there, and also the clothing line. Now I'm going to talk about some goals and ambitions for the future. Short term, I am looking to publish that app I talked about. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to call it yet, but I'm thinking possibly calling it Steko. Not exactly sure yet. Let's see. And I plan to have that on the Android and Apple Store. And my first experience with doing something like that was actually, I think, when I was caregiving. I wanted to make an app for simplifying the meal orders for residents, and that was a really cool project, and I wish I could have got it out there, but a wall I ran into was HIPAA, and how technically if you identify a resident and have their food with like their profile with dietary restrictions and whatnot, there's things that if it matches, then like an identifier such as the room number, I don't remember exactly, but if the room number is on there and they have dietary restrictions on the app, then HIPAA. So that's unfortunate. I think that could have been really cool, but that's okay. I'd rather do it the right way, and not do it at all, rather than do something wrong and possibly get into trouble for it. So that's that. Let's see. I'm still working short term. Right now I'm working on Steko LLC. Still trying to get that some things worked on there, such as that logo I was talking about. Today, getting this first podcast out here. I planned to record it a couple days ago, but it's been kind of a crazy week. So here we are today, posting it same day. Little preparation. I got my notes here and a couple right here. And it's just a rough first go, but I think that sometimes you need to some actions better than no actions at all. Sometimes you just have to do the first step, which might be rough, but it gets you going. So here we are. Also, going public on social media. Let's see. Instagram, I turned to public. I think Facebook, you need to individually choose when you're posting something, whether it's public or private. So that I might need to change the current video I have up, or just my next video, try to get it on public. But anyway, there's that. I want to learn about some other revenue stream ideas. I don't want to be limited to AI made apps. I want to learn and get into some other things that could bring in revenue for this, as this is something I'm trying to work on and do full time. And so we'll see about maybe some other businesses or business activity within Steko LLC in the future. What I want for the app is I would like to hit 10,000 downloads within a short amount of time. Right here I have August 28th. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. That's pretty soon. But if you get it out there to a large social media following, or multiple social media followings, then that's pretty attainable. It just depends on if the creators are willing to do a deal, and also if that's what I choose to do with the app. I want to do the right thing with it, and so we'll see where that goes. Also, I want to post consistently on this channel and on social media. This week I haven't hit this, and I probably won't, but maybe starting next week I would like to post 5 times a week for the remainder of the year, and hopefully just kind of catapult things and get into those weeds, and try to grow in that area. See where it goes. See if people join along. Some long-term goals. I would like to write a book, and actually I'd like to write multiple books, but that's further down the line. Right now, I think it can be handy to take notes. So I have a folder, or a Google Docs sheet on a document on Google Docs that I titled Life, and so I just I haven't been very good with it, but I put in some things there, and I could use those in the future to help get something going. Also, I use a journal, which is kind of cool, just some lines a day, and it's pretty short, but just put in a little section, like a paragraph's worth or so, more or less, of whatever notes you have for the day, what you did, etc. So, in that Google Docs idea, I was inspired by a guy I mentioned before, Chris Corner. He started a lot of businesses, and he said something about that, and so I thought that was a cool idea, and I think it can help to record things. So writing a book in the future, that could help with it. I think it would be cool to own some kind of media division. That's partially what I'm doing now, but I think, I don't know, it could be like news, or some kind of podcast where it's not just limited to myself. There's someone I think about is Patrick Bet David. He has his podcast, which I don't really listen to. I've listened to it before, but it's not really something I listen to. But he has that, and I think something similar could be cool. Charlie Kirk has a podcast that's still going, and I think some kind of media division would be interesting. I would like to lead at some point. I would like to have a small team. 10-ish people maybe, could be more or less. That's kind of a very general goal, but I would like to lead at some point. I would like to get something in the healthcare industry. Not really sure what that would be. Could be a product, could be an organization, a service, software. Not really sure, but I still have part of me that really likes healthcare, and there's some things in it that I think are evil, such as physician-assisted suicide and also abortion. If there's some kind of product or solution I could get out there that helps fight against those things, I think that would be really cool. There's a lot of people that already have good things out there, but it's still an issue, and there's probably ways that Steko LLC could get into that field. So there's that. Maybe a small portfolio of well-performing apps. Got this first one coming out soon. Possibly hydration powder company, as I described before. Something like that in the future could be interesting. Also, last one I have on here for long term is I would like to post consistently on this channel a podcast once a week for 2 years. We'll see if that happens. That's a long time out, but that's that. Before I finish this podcast, which has been a bumpy ride, and if you're still here, then wow, but I'm gonna finish this with my core message to you guys, and that is an action and a takeaway. So this has been challenging to make this first podcast, but I'm going to do something else challenging on the podcast, which is record a first take video to post. So this is going to be difficult, but part of the mission is to inspire people, and so sometimes you got to do things that aren't easy, but you gotta choose good. So I have a little bit of a script here that I'm gonna use, but this is either gonna be a first take or I'm gonna fail and retake while on the podcast. So I have my phone here, and I'm gonna record this to post, and it's going to be a simple message and takeaway, and you're gonna watch me do it. So here we go. Let me just review my notes for a second here. Okay. Oops, I already started the video. I didn't try to do that though, so that doesn't count. Hello, I am on my first podcast. I am taking it live right now, and I'm making this video. This is a first take, and I got my camera right here, phone recording, got my mic, my receiver, whatever that is, got the set here. Still got some work to do, but I'm making this video on the podcast live to share a takeaway, and that is that sometimes you have to do something even if it's not perfect or polished. For my last video, I took several takes that I posted here. I took several takes, and it still wasn't perfect, but this is a first take, and my takeaway is don't wait to do something when there's a big change in your life or when there's an opportunity that makes it easier. Try to choose to do good wherever you're at now. Hebrews 13:16 says, "But to do good and to communicate, forget not, for with such sacrifices God is well pleased." And so doing something good sometimes is a sacrifice, communicating is a sacrifice, but it's something that needs done and something I've struggled with, but I'm trying to be better at. So that's my takeaway. That's a first take here, and go Steko. Boom. I think I was warmed up because I'm doing this podcast. Still rough. I'll post that later today. Just gonna share a couple finishing comments. Part of this podcast, I think if it doesn't grow, if the audience doesn't grow, I'll still grow from it. So I see that as a win still. I hope whoever's here is able to grow too. Go Steko. I'll share what that name means. Steko is the Greek word meaning stand fast or stand firm, and that's something I'm passionate about. I want to stand firm for Christ. I want to stand firm for truth. So that's what Steko means. Some action is better than no action if it's good action. Also, I want to share something that is inspiring to me. A few months ago, I saw I was at an event where a man named Rene Rodriguez was speaking, and I met him and got his book. But in part of his speech, he talked about the word passion, and the word passion comes from the Latin word passio, which means suffering or to endure. In Google AI review said that it was first used in English to describe the physical suffering and death of Jesus Christ on the cross, the passion, and it later extended to the intense sufferings and martyrdoms of saints. So something you're passionate about is something you're willing to suffer for. And this business is something I'm willing to suffer for and to face challenges with. That's part of what I'm doing right now. And so Galatians 6:9 says, "And let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." And so also Proverbs 14:23 says, "In all labor there is profit, but the talk of lips tendeth only to penury," which means like poverty. And so laboring for something good is worth it. I may not get it always right, and I probably won't, but I'm trying to labor for good. Rene signed this book and he said, "Be the light, suffer," and that's something inspiring to me. I hope it inspires you as well. That's it for this episode. Remember, your takeaway is do good. What you're passionate about means you're willing to suffer for. So choose to be passionate about something that you believe in. That's it for this episode. I'll see you next week where I'll talk about AI. Go Steko.